The long-awaited Witcher 3 expansion is finally coming. After months of speculation, Projekt has finally confirmed the rumors. So in this video, I'll explain to you everything we learned in the last few days with the artwork they showed us, some elements we got during the Blood and Wine anniversary livestream, but also some very interesting things from the earning calls. So let's not waste any more time. Hi everyone, it's Alex, and it's been a long time since I've made this kind of video, because to be honest, there hasn't been a lot of interesting news to talk about lately. But now, we finally got some pretty exciting news. The Witcher 3 Songs of the Past is a new expansion coming in 2027 to PC, Xbox Series and PlayStation 5. 12 years after its release, we'll have new content for one of the greatest games ever. As you already know, if you have been following the rumors, it is co-developed by Full Theory and made on the Red Engine. So the news came out this May 27th, so earlier than planned. It was originally supposed to be revealed during the livestream for the 10-year anniversary of Blood and Wine. I actually recorded a video to explain why they were about to reveal it on this livestream, with some last evidence and all, but yeah, now it's out. The funniest part, if I can use that word, is that the leak actually happened on the Red launcher. It really sucks that they couldn't reveal it properly, because like we saw on the livestream, they had prepared a cool reveal with a brand new song that seems to be for the expansion. Okay, so what information do we have for now? Let's pay attention to what they said on social media. So in the original post, they mentioned that we'll get more information in late summer. Then the next day, they confirmed that they will show the expansion at the Gamescom in August. So it's likely that we won't hear anything until the conference, but there is still a chance that they show something at the Summer Game Fest on June 5th. They could simply bring a cinematic trailer for June, and 2 months later, some gameplay. And hey, who knows, maybe that's not the only Witcher game we'll see at the conference. There is always hope. Okay, so now let's analyze the artwork, because there is a ton to dissect. The title itself can give us some clues. The word song could be referring to Jaskier telling some whole stories about Geralt's past. Maybe we'll find some flashbacks in Geralt's memory, giving us more moments with a young Ciri. We can also note the pink color, which probably gives us the main aesthetic of this expansion. The artwork itself is also very interesting. So we see Geralt with a sword in his hand, with 2 more on his back. And just behind him, we can see a monster that looks like some sort of lesion. The sword Geralt is holding is very important. They told us during the livestream that it's story related, meaning it will probably play a key role. And if you look at it closely, it is very similar to the one Ciri has in the Witcher 4 trailers. It has the same scabbard, so that's maybe the one Geralt will give to Ciri, the steel one. Because if I'm not mistaken, in one of the endings, where Ciri becomes a Witcher, he gives her a silver sword. There is also the question of which ending is canon or not. They could answer that question, or maybe just leave it to interpretation, in my opinion. So people found some nice Easter eggs on this artwork. Geralt has 1 sword in the first artwork, 2 in the second one, and 3 in the latest. Okay, that doesn't really have any connection to the story, but it's still a pretty cool detail to point out. Then we have several Easter eggs connected to the post they made for the celebration of Belleteyn. If you look at this artwork, you can see Geralt sitting alongside the same sword from the new expansion. But that's not all. If you zoom in, behind the tree, you can see the end of the monster that is probably the main villain of this story. Paweł must be so proud that someone found this. So that's for now what we got on this artwork. However, they said on the livestream that we haven't found every clue yet. It might be related to the poem that was posted that day. If you get some ideas, don't hesitate to share your findings. I'll post it in the comments if there is new info on that one. So if the story takes place after Blood and Wine, having Ciri in trouble could be a logical way to bring back Geralt from retirement in Corvo Bianco. One story they could also tell is how Ciri became a Witcher and actually mutated. Because if you're not living under a rock, you probably know that The Witcher 4 will let us play as Ciri, who became a Witcher. So we can assume that this expansion will serve as a bridge between The Witcher 3 and The Witcher 4. However, they clarified during the earnings call that this story won't be a prologue to The Witcher 4. So I'm pretty sure this story will involve Geralt, and maybe we'll have Ciri at the end. One idea they could explore is Ciri losing her powers, forcing Geralt to make her go through the mutations. Though you can argue it's some sort of a prologue. Will this be the final quest of Geralt only? Or will we play with Ciri during this story at the end? There are a lot of possibilities, which is really exciting. Keep in mind, this is just speculation, and if you got some cool theories, don't hesitate to put it in the comments. The location of this expansion is also mysterious for now. A few months ago, some information got out from IGN Poland, who revealed that the DLC set in the Zikarian region was talked about a few years ago. It was scrapped at the time, but we don't know if they kept that idea. Maybe we'll have an expansion of an already existing place, like they did with Hearts of Stone. Or they add a brand new region, like with Toussaint in Blood and Wine. They mentioned this question on the earning call by saying that the scope of this expansion is closer to Blood and Wine than Hearts of Stone, but it's highly subjective and it depends on players' playstyle. Another idea is that we'll have multiple new locations, not as big as Toussaint, but with different contrast. Maybe there is a part set in Sintra, which is an important place in Geralt and Ciri's past. We could also have a section in Zerrikania, like the rumors suggested. There are many possibilities. Another element we can use is from the updated system requirements for the game on PC. Before that, you needed 50GB storage, but with the expansion, you'll need 70. It's a pretty big increase, but it doesn't mean that it will obviously be 20GB. First of all, it's actually 61 on my PC, not 50, so that number is not really accurate. Plus, they also updated the requirements for the CPU, RAM and GPU. So maybe that means that they changed some textures or added new effects that require more power and so more size in the base game. That could also be one of the reasons why the expansion won't be coming to all-gen consoles unlike the previous two. So if you want my opinion, I think we'll get multiple locations, not as large as Toussaint, but more varied. I'm also really excited to see which characters will return. In the two previous expansions, we had very few characters from the main game. In Hearts of Stone, we had the return of Shani from The Witcher 1, and mostly a cast of brand new and really memorable characters. In Blood and Wine, it was a bit similar. We had Regis and a few other characters we already knew from the books. Sure, we also got appearances from either Yennefer, Triss, Ciri or even Dandelion, depending on the ending of the base game, but their presence was really brief. So I'm wondering if they are going to take the same route again, maybe by bringing back characters from older games, or if they instead want to conclude this story with the return of the main cast from the base game. I think Jaskier, Ciri and Yennefer will play an important role in the story, especially if this expansion revolves around the Belleteyn celebration. One thing I'm also curious to see is how they are going to handle Ciri's voice acting. I'll use the English dub as an example, since that's the version I play. And so, the Witcher 3 English voice actress of Ciri, Jo Wyatt, has been replaced for the next trilogy by Sierra Berkeley. So now the question is, are they going to bring back the original actress for the expansion, or are they already going to start pushing the new one to get players used to her voice? I personally think they bring back the original one, and honestly, it would feel pretty strange otherwise, especially if Ciri still looks physically the same. But if they go with some kind of Witcher mutation angle, or an older Ciri, then the second option could totally make sense. Either way, I'm happy that we'll be able to hear two Cockle for another adventure. And on top of that, we are getting a new soundtrack, which is so fucking cool. I can't wait to hear the new masterpiece they crafted. We don't know yet the exact release date, but it's probably coming in early 2027. And we actually learned on the earnings call that this expansion was planned to release in 2026, but it got delayed to 2027. So the first report we got last year by Boris Niespilach on his podcast about an expansion in 2026 was totally right. Also, if you remember well, in previous earnings calls, they talked about a target balance they have to meet in 2026. And you can see it right here, they haven't reached that target yet. So I don't know if they are taking pre-orders into account, but we have maybe one answer for this one. Okay, hear me out. CDPR is maybe cooking something else for this year. Yeah, they said in the financial statement today, and I quote, "Some of the other unannounced projects previously disclosed by the parent company in its past periodic reports are also at an advanced stage of development, which may potentially lead up to their release in the coming quarters of the current year and the following year." And to be clear, they are not talking about the new Witcher 3 expansion. So I don't know what type of project they might be referring. It could be a new cyberpunk content, we have no information on that yet, but they are definitely cooking something else. It's time for Boris to do some investigating. Alright, that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me if you're hyped just like me for this new expansion. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next one.